There's a million miles of memories down a highway he calls home, and he lives to tell the stories of the friends that he has known. You see and feel the difference when you ride along with him and travel to the places you never would have been. Travelin Arkansas.
It was in 1976 when we began a journey that at the time little did we know would take us well over 1 million miles and into another century. To say that we had a second education would be an understatement. But since that very first mile, our goal has always been to showcase those people and places that make Arkansas what it is. From the Ozarks to the Ouachitas to the Grand Prairie to the Delta. People and places so dear to our hearts. So let's take a trip to some of those places that showcase this state and those people who make Arkansas so special.
You know, there's just something about fishing that soothes the soul and eases the mind.
Now there I had a bite.
And one of the best places in Arkansas to throw a line in is the Little Red River near Heber Springs.
I heard some good news from this hole earlier. Jack Jones came up and told me he left earlier from here and said they're still biting like crazy.
Nathan Lindsay of Lindsay's Rainbow Resort guided us to one of his favorite honey holes for a little trout fishing.
There's 4 kinds of different trout. There's the rainbow, the brown, the cutthroat, and the brook. And the brown is got the little red spots on it, and it's a real pretty fish.
In fact, the Little Red River holds the world's record for the largest brown trout ever caught by the late Rip Collins 5 years ago. The fish we were after this morning were rainbow trout, and the bait, something called power eggs. Now, in trout fishing, there's also something else you take along in your tackle box, a can of corn, and that's not for lunch.
We're gonna chum the river with that. That gets the fish biting. Just throw out the corn out there where your poles are sitting there fishing, and it gets the fish up biting and getting them wanting to eat.
Nathan should know what he's talking about. Having a trout dock owner for a dad, he grew up on this river.
When I was first down here, old enough to go walk on the dock and walk around, I just fished off the pier with my dad. It was loads of fun growing up watching this place mature and get bigger and being a part of it. Yeah, it's just fishing's mainly about patience, you know, just sitting here waiting for the fish to bite, not getting in too big a hurry when you're hooking them because you'll miss them. I learned that 2 days ago when I went fishing with a friend. We went out fishing, caught 50 fish. We had a good day. Missed about 10. Oh, you're getting a bite.
As we speak, folks. Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, not much.
All right. You got him, though.
It's a start, hey.
After that first one, we didn't catch 50 fish like Nathan's fish story, but we did catch a few more. Another popular place for trout fishing is the Spring River. It feeds this natural wonder, Mammoth Spring. Flowing at an hourly rate of almost 10 million gallons, this makes it the 10th largest spring in the world. If you want some wildlife with your water, visit the Hollow Bend National Wildlife Refuge. In the outback country of the Arkansas River Valley south of Russellville, you can look at migratory waterfowl like snow geese and Canadian geese without ever leaving your car. Traveling now to the Buffalo National River Park System, Lost Valley looks like something straight out of the movie Jurassic Park. You'll have to endure a 30-minute hike to get to Lost Valley, but it's a trip well worth the effort. And if long hikes with beautiful rewards excites you, how about taking the 3-mile hike through rugged terrain near Richland Creek in the Ozark National Forest? You'll have to walk through streams and fight the bugs to get there, but when you reach Twin Falls, you'll think you've reached paradise.
The natural beauty of Pettigene Mountain inspired Arkansas State Park System, and it's probably one of my all-time favorite locations. You just can't get enough of this kind of scenery.
It's Arkansas's legendary first state park. The unforgettable natural beauty of Pettigene Mountain inspired the creation of Arkansas's State Park System. In fact, it was set aside as parkland in 1923, before the state park system was even started. Here, the legacy of the Civilian Conservation Corps lives on. During the 30s, as many as 200 CCC workers put forth their strength and sweat to build some of the structures that still stand today. There's Mather Lodge, the water tower which supplied the lodge and cabins with drinking water, and the CCC Bridge, all built from native rock. There are 7 hiking trails on Petit Jean, with Cedar Falls Trail being the most popular. Dawn Scott joined me on this 2-mile hike, which the first half mile descends more than 200 feet down steps cut from rock by the CCC more than a half-century ago. Cedar Falls is one of the most spectacular sights in Arkansas, as it cascades more than 90 feet down to the canyon floor.
We wanted to come camping up here. We had some friends tell us one of the prettiest spots was this waterfall, and it was worth the hike.
Yeah.
So
was it worth it?
It was worth it. Beautiful place.
Kind of makes you feel like you're in the lost world, huh?
That's what I was thinking as we were walking up here.
So Chase said,
Well, you got to watch the raptors over there. I just thought I'd warn you.
Okay.
Petit Jean is named after the legend, which tells us a young French girl disguised herself as a cabin boy so she could secretly accompany her fiancé to the New World. Petit Jean, or Little John, became fatally ill and was buried on the mountaintop. One of the largest annual antique auto shows in the South is atop Petit Jean Mountain. Here you'll find cars you remember, cars you've heard about, and cars you've dreamed about. Or how about some really cool cars, but in a miniature version? Bill Hampton of Benton takes old-fashioned pedal cars and gives them new life. We continue our look at men and their machines. Ever since he was a boy, James Barker has always loved trains, so he decided to build a big train set. It's called the Iron Mountain Railroad, and it's at Caddo Valley near Arkadelphia. Barker laid the track himself. It took him almost 3 months. Lonnie Caudell of Brinkley loves old engines. His collection of tractors includes this one that looks like a locomotive. If you can't make up your mind whether you want to travel by air or by water, how about a vehicle that can do both? Happy Miles is owner and designer for Adventure Air outside of Berryville. Home of the flying yacht, this amphibious plane even comes with a queen-size bed in the back for overnight stays on land or water.
But if you'd like to experience flight without the help of a motor, Mount Nebo is the place to be.
Ever since man has looked in the sky and watched birds fly, he's wanted to do the same. And it's only in this century that he's been able to do so in the same way a bird does. Hang gliding is that experience, and these men with wings will tell you that. It is the closest thing to experiencing the tranquil flight of a bird. Here at Mount Nebo State Park near Dardanelle, named after the mountain in the Bible where Moses had a view of the Promised Land, we watched as these men with wings soared like eagles.
We are like an eagle, you know, flying up there, and there's times that we even in this part of the state, we fly with eagles a lot. You know, it was just yesterday I had an eagle chasing me around for a good half hour, flying with me for, you know, just coming under me and over me, and, you know, I was up there flying with him just as effortlessly as he was. And I think we just get to where it's such an addictive sport that that's what we live for.
Sunrise Point in Mount Nebo, a special place in the clouds where men with wings meet the sky. If you thought the beauty of the scenery from Mount Nebo was something, you'll love where we're going next. Stay right here for more of 25 years of Travelin Arkansas.
25 years of Travelin Arkansas, brought to you by Hankey Brothers.
Back in 1972, Congress designated the Buffalo River in North Arkansas as America's first national river, and rightfully so. A float trip down this river truly is an adventure-packed wilderness experience.
It's not only Arkansas's treasure, it's the nation's treasure, America's first national river. The Buffalo River nestled in the Arkansas Ozarks. This year marks the 20th anniversary preserving the Buffalo as a free-flowing stream when Congress designated it as a national river in 1972.
The man who led the decade-long fight for the buffalo is Dr. Neil Compton of Bentonville. We took a flow trip with Dr. Compton and discussed his latest book concerning the battle for the Buffalo River.
We wanted to save at least one Ozark stream, and this was the most beautiful of all of them, really. The Buffalo River was from the beginning. And the reason it didn't get dammed in the beginning was it was a smaller stream, and they worked on White River first.
Dr. Compton says even though the river is designated as a national river, the battle to keep it preserved continues.
Canoeing isn't the only activity I've experienced in the past 25 years.
This is about as close to reality as you could get.
Hey, I was ready. I can play catch just like the next guy. I was caught in the web, the deadly web of the Russian Spider Girls.
It's county fair time again in Arkansas. Chuck Dovish, 11 Action News, Travelin Arkansas!
Next time, let's do a food story.
Tell you one thing, though. It'll feel good to get both feet back on the ground, for sure. Fencing, Daniel Boone didn't have to do this. And if you show up, be prepared to be pulled in.
Oh, there's one left. Yeah.
Along the way, we've met some wonderful and talented people, like Rex Harrell of Wilburn. We met Rex back in the early 80s. He's one of the few people in the state that knows how to make an old-fashioned wagon wheel. No power tools here, just good old-fashioned tools and elbow grease. One of the most exciting parts of building a wheel is taking the hot expanded metal rim from the fire and putting it on the wheel.
Yeah, that's an art in putting that on there, that's for sure. You've just got to know the right heat on that to begin with. You'll burn your rim up if you get it too hot. And if you don't have enough heat in there to expand that tire, you can't get it on.
Can you imagine having to do this on a daily basis? This is how the West was really won.
You know, the people I get to meet along my travels is what really makes my job great. Coming up, we'll introduce you to a woman who some say is a witch. She has a surefire way of finding her way to water. Finding underground water. It's a skill that quite a few Arkansans have, believe it or not. But we're not talking about commercial well diggers. We're talking about those folks who have a definite gift with a forked stick, such as Alice Ferguson of Mena.
We really don't have any explanation as to how it works, why it works?
No, not a thing in the world. I just know that it does. And that's all there is to it to me. Yeah, if you are going with the vein.
Alice did tell us the stick won't go down if you're walking parallel with the water vein. You have to cross it.
That just kind of flipped right over, didn't it?
Boy, I'll tell you, it flips over there in a hurry. Now, it don't ask nobody nothing about it either.
Alice claims that she's 100% accurate.
Yeah, I never have failed to find it.
Alice says there is a way to test if one has the power of a water witch.
Now, put your hand on me. Put your hand on me.
Oh, on you?
Just your hand.
Anywhere?
Yeah. Just.
Okay.
See, you're not.
Oh, I'm not a witch, all
No,
right.
turn me loose now.
But you're a good witch.
I guess. Anyhow, it sure goes over, doesn't it?
When I met him back in 1994, 82-year-old Floyd Schieffer of Little Rock was cycling 51 miles a week and going to the pool 4 to 5 times a week. Lulu Brooks was just a month away from turning 70 when I met her in 1996. At that time, she was skating circles around some of the younger skaters.
I love the little ones. They come up and say, Lulu, when you grow up, are you going to be an ice skater?
Back in 1996, I met a modern-day Robin Hood named Galen Schinkel. He could hit a bullseye from every imaginable position, even hanging upside down. Back in 1986, I visited the home of Bob Lessenberry and his 200 guests, Purple Martins, living in his high-rise Purple Martin colony. And you haven't had a shoe shine till you've offered up your boots to Big Daddy Shine.
You done had your shoe shine by all the rest. Now it's time to get your shine by the best. Big Daddy Shine.
We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we'll take a ride on the scenic Ozark Railroad and travel to the state's various festivals. Yes, sir, don't you go away.
The premier, and I do mean premier, train trip to take is to hop aboard the Arkansas-Missouri Railroad, departing either historic Van Buren or here in Springdale. It's a train trip that's worthwhile to take not only for the scenery, but to spend some time with the fella who punches the tickets.
Here we go.
There's something to this train travel. Something that calms the nerves and soothes the soul. It's like a trance that spans the generations. It grasps those whose first train trip is a ride like none other, with words to match.
It's different. This is my first time to ride. I think it's funner than I expected.
Funner than you expected. There you go. What more needs to be said, except maybe asked? Hey, how's that bologna sandwich?
Good.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, maybe not. Anyway, the Arkansas and Missouri Railroad, with trips between Van Buren and Springdale, truly is the way to see the Ozarks.
Tickets! Tickets, please!
Punching the tickets on the train is Tom Ross. Now, his hat says conductor, but actually he wears several hats.
Thank you, ma'am.
Staying quite busy. In fact, it took a while before we had a chance to talk with him. Most of the time, his hands were tied. You see, one of the hats Ross wears is that of a magician.
Coke, Diet Coke, or Sprite, 50 cents apiece.
Another is the train steward. And still another is a tour guide.
In the old steam train days, they kept a steam engine fired up there at Chester, and they would hook onto the back of the train, both passenger and freight train, and boost them on up over the hill.
But what Conductor Ross enjoys talking about a lot is his grandfather's 1912 railroad timepiece.
When I pass away, this one will go to my son. So this will be his great-grandfather's watch. My sister has my father's watch, so when she dies, it goes to my grandson. So he will have his great-grandfather's railroad watch. They'll probably pitch them in a drawer, and that'll be the last you ever see of them.
So, you can travel by car, you can travel by bus, or you can travel by plane. But when you travel by train, it's an entirely different experience. The pictures and the sound tell the story.
There's something to this train travel. For some, the rhythm, the song of the tracks is all it takes. Yes, there's something to this train travel. It runs parallel with the present, but its tracks are in the past.
One way to really learn about the people in any given city is to attend the hundreds of festivals held every year. From Toad Suck Days to Brickfest, the flavor of Arkansas comes through during these festive events.
All right, give me a big old Yell County yell.
There's a king who plays so able.
That's all, folks.
Pork chop sandwich with tomatoes, lettuce, and mayonnaise.
Food has played an important role in my job the past 25 years. When we come back, we'll try to total up the calories I've consumed during the last quarter of a century. Who's got the Rolaids?
Many times I've been accused of eating my way through Arkansas rather than traveling Arkansas. But hey, with all this great southern cooking that Arkansas has to offer, I mean, how can one resist?
Ah! Haven't had this in a long time.
It doesn't get any better than this, folks.
Yes, sir.
You gotta try the Goki. That's it. You want one? Here, I don't do this too often now.
It's the best of the best around here.
Shuck sucking good.
Better than filet mignon.
Whee! Voila.
Some more chicken, have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's pork or fried. Just eat it. Just eat it.
There are, of course, many more people and places that we could have included in this program, but we probably would have needed half a day instead of half an hour. So we'll see you during the week on today's THV and see where the next bend in the road, the next turn, or the next bridge takes us. Goodbye for now, and God bless.
It does give you a good example